I trained Neville Goddard for 5 years on one principle, 5 years. Not because the principle was complicated, but because the human mind refuses to accept what seems too simple to be true. When Neville first came to me in 1931, he already knew too much. He had studied, he had practiced techniques, he had read the books, and yet he was struggling. Because knowing about consciousness and being conscious of what you are doing are two entirely different things. The principle I taught him was ancient, older than any scripture, older than any religion. It has been whispered through mystery schools for thousands of years. The world is a mirror. It reflects nothing but your own consciousness. That is the entire teaching. The world you see is consciousness reflected back to you. Nothing outside of you has power. Everything you experience is your own wonderful human imagination pushed out into visibility. Most people hear this and wait for more. There is no more. But understanding it with your mind and mastering it with your being are separated by years of practice. This is what took Neville 5 years to fully grasp. Not because I wanted him to struggle for 5 years, but because consciousness transformation cannot be rushed. Let me share with you what I taught him. Not so you struggle for 5 years, but so you understand what true mastery requires. The mirror code is this: you do not see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. Everything you behold, you are beholding yourself. Every person who appears in your life is showing you a reflection of your own consciousness. Every circumstance that unfolds is your inner assumptions made visible. This is not poetry. This is the mechanical law by which all creation occurs. In the beginning, God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." This is Genesis 1, verse 26. Notice the words carefully. Not let us make man to worship our image. Not let us make man to seek our image. Let us make man in our image. You are the image of God. You are consciousness itself. And consciousness is the only creative power in existence. When you look at your world and see problems, you are not seeing problems out there. You are seeing your own inner conversations, your own assumptions, your own self-concept reflected back to you in the mirror of reality. Change what you see in the mirror? Impossible. The mirror only reflects. Change the face looking into the mirror? Now the reflection must change. It has no choice. This is what I taught Neville for 5 years. How to change the face. How to change consciousness itself. How to stop trying to rearrange the reflection and instead transform the one who is being reflected. The ancient Hermetic text declares, "As within, so without." This is not mystical poetry. This is the exact mechanism by which your world is formed. Your inner state is the cause. Your outer world is the effect. Always, without exception. Most people live their entire lives trying to change effects while leaving the cause untouched. They try to get more money while maintaining poverty consciousness. They try to find love while feeling unworthy. They try to achieve success while assuming failure. This is like standing in front of a mirror, frowning and demanding that the reflection smile first. The reflection cannot smile until you smile. The mirror cannot show you wealth until you are wealth in consciousness. The world cannot give you what you refuse to give yourself. Neville once documented a case in The Law and the Promise about a woman who understood this principle perfectly. She owned a piece of property and had tenants living there who were not maintaining it. The yard was neglected. Payments were irregular. The whole situation was causing her tremendous stress. Every time she thought about the property, she felt anger. She imagined confronting them. She rehearsed legal proceedings in her mind. She saw herself as a victim of these terrible tenants. But then she applied the mirror code. If these tenants were in her world, they were reflecting something in her consciousness. They were her own assumptions pushed out. So instead of trying to change them, she changed herself. Every night before sleep, she revised the entire situation. In her imagination, she saw the property beautifully maintained. She saw the yard neat and cared for. She felt the satisfaction of tenants who took pride in their home. She did this faithfully, night after night, refusing to return to her old mental patterns. And then something remarkable happened. The woman tenant had an automobile accident. While she was in the hospital, Her husband disappeared, but instead of this creating more problems, shortly after leaving the hospital, the woman reappeared with a wedding certificate and a new husband. This new husband immediately began improving the property. All payments came right up to date. A room was even added to the property, giving additional security to the trust deed. The landlord's problem was solved, but not by forcing, threatening, or manipulating the outer world. By changing her inner world, the outer world had no choice but to conform. This is the mirror code in action. Now, some of you watching this are thinking, but Abdullah, what about things that happened to me that I didn't consciously create? What about difficulties I never imagined? This brings you to the deeper level of the mirror code, the level that takes years to fully accept. Everything in your world is you pushed out, not some things, everything. The people who love you are showing you the love in your consciousness. The people who reject you are showing you the rejection you hold toward yourself. The opportunities that appear are showing you the possibilities you have accepted. The doors that close are showing you the limitations you have assumed. Jesus taught this when he said in Luke 17, verse 21, "The kingdom of God is within you, not coming to you from outside, not dependent on external conditions, within you, now, already present. Your entire kingdom, your entire world, exists inside your consciousness first. What appears outside is only the reflection, the shadow, the effect of what is already established within. Now let me show you something that proves consciousness is not limited by space or time or physical proximity." Neville once shared a story in one of his lectures about a doctor in New York who had developed growths on his face. Tests revealed they might be malignant. Then he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which doctors told him was incurable. A friend of this doctor wrote to Neville asking if he could help from 3,000 miles away in California. Most people would say this is impossible. How can you help someone 3,000 miles away? How can your consciousness affect another person's body when you are not even in the same city? But consciousness knows no distance. There is no separation except in the world of appearances. Neville brought the doctor into his imagination. He placed his imaginary hand on the doctor's face and felt only smooth skin, no lumps, no growths. Then he walked with the doctor in imagination, and the doctor walked perfectly. No trembling, no stumbling, just a well man walking normally. That is all Neville did. Weeks later, the letter came. The lumps on the doctor's face had disappeared. The shaking from Parkinson's had stopped. The doctor had returned to his office, functioning normally, even though medical science said his condition was incurable. The world is a mirror, and that mirror reflects consciousness, not physical proximity. When you change your consciousness about another person, when you see them as whole and well and perfect, the mirror must reflect that back. This is why I taught Neville that there is no one to change but self. You cannot change another person directly, but you can change your consciousness of them. And when you do, they must appear changed in your world. This principle causes struggle because it demands something most people refuse to give: complete responsibility, not for what you think you caused, for everything. The person who mistreats you, you drew them through your consciousness. The money that is lacking, your poverty consciousness created it. The health that fails, your inner conversations about weakness manifested it. This sounds harsh until you realize what it actually means. If you created it all, you can change it all. You are not a victim of the world. You are the creator of the world you experience. And when you truly accept this, when you truly take responsibility for everything, something extraordinary happens. You stop feeling powerless. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop blaming circumstances. You recognize that you have had the power all along. You just did not know you were using it to create what you did not want. Now you can use it deliberately to create what you do want. This is what took Neville 5 years to master. Not the intellectual understanding, the lived experience. The moment-to-moment practice of watching his inner conversations, observing his assumptions, catching himself in states of lack or fear or resentment, and consciously choosing to occupy different states of abundance, states of love, states of confidence and fulfillment. And as he changed his inner states, his outer world transformed to match. Most people fail at this work because they try to change their outer world while maintaining their inner state. They affirm abundance while feeling poor. They visualize success while assuming failure. They imagine love while feeling unworthy. The mirror does not respond to your words. The mirror does not respond to your actions. The mirror responds only to your state of consciousness. What are you conscious of being? That is what the mirror must reflect. If you are conscious of being poor, the mirror shows you poverty. If you are conscious of being unloved, the mirror shows you rejection. If you are conscious of being limited, the mirror shows you obstacles. But if you are conscious of being wealthy, the mirror must show you wealth. If you are conscious of being loved, the mirror must show you love. If you are conscious of being unlimited, the mirror must show you possibilities. Now, I want to share something with you that will help you apply this immediately. In the comments below, write the word reset. When you do this, you will receive the Manifest Reset Guide. This guide contains 5 practical shifts based on everything I taught Neville, everything that works. The first reset shows you how to stop forcing feelings when everything seems fake. The second reveals how to shift from seeking to having. And the third, about letting go without giving up, has helped more people break through resistance than anything else. Comment reset right now, and you will receive free access to this guide. Because what I am teaching you is simple to understand but requires support to master. Now let me show you how this mirror code works in ways that will astonish you. Neville documented in The Law and the Promise a case of a woman who wanted to paint and redecorate her old home. But she had no money. The work would cost thousands of dollars that she simply did not possess. She could have spent years trying to earn the money, working extra hours, sacrificing and struggling. But she understood the mirror code, so she went to work in imagination. She walked through her home as if it were already freshly painted. She admired the new furnishings in her mind. She ran her hands along walls that had been beautifully redecorated. At the end of each imaginal act, she handed an imaginary contractor a check for payment in full. She did this faithfully, day after day, night after night, living in the assumption that the work was already done, occupying the state of one whose home was already beautiful. Within 2 weeks, she received a registered letter from Lloyd's of London, informing her that she had inherited $7,000 from a woman she had never met, never known, never heard of in her entire life. The money appeared from a source she could never have predicted, never have planned for, never have worked toward. Because consciousness is not limited to the channels your rational mind can see. When you change your inner state, the entire universe reorganizes itself to reflect that state back to you. Money comes from unknown sources. People appear who were not there before. Doors open that did not exist yesterday. This is not magic. This is the mirror code. This is the mechanical operation of consciousness creating reality. But here is what most people miss. And this is what took Neville the longest to fully grasp. You cannot change the mirror by fighting with the reflection. Let me share another story from Neville's lectures. A woman went to a restaurant and saw the most beautiful rose-colored water glasses she had ever seen. She asked if she could buy them. Both the waiter and the hostess told her it was impossible. The buyer for the restaurant was an extremely unpleasant person who would never sell them. Besides, the glasses were manufactured in the East and the supply was very limited. The woman could have argued. She could have insisted. She could have tried to force the situation. But she understood the mirror code. She went home and every single day she saw those 8 rose-colored glasses on her own table. Not hoping to see them, not wishing for them, seeing them as already hers. 1 month later, she and her mother returned to the same restaurant. There was a new hostess who smiled warmly and brought up the subject of the glasses. She said she had heard the buyer would not sell any of them, then excused herself. When she returned, she was carrying a box. Inside were not 8 glasses, but 16, double what the woman had imagined. And they were given to her without charge, as a gift. Do you see what happened here? The woman did not change the unpleasant buyer. She did not convince the restaurant to change its policy. She did not manipulate circumstances. She changed her own consciousness. She assumed the glasses were hers, and reality, which is nothing but consciousness pushed out, had no choice but to conform to her assumption. The unpleasant buyer disappeared from the story. A pleasant hostess appeared instead. The limited supply became abundant. The impossible became effortless. This is the mirror code in its full power. When you stop fighting the reflection and change the consciousness looking into the mirror, reality rearranges itself in ways your rational mind cannot predict. The bridge of incidents appears. The seeming obstacles vanish. The people who blocked you are replaced by people who help you. The circumstances that seemed impossible suddenly become effortless. This is not because you forced anything. This is because consciousness is the only reality, and when you change consciousness, reality must conform. Now, there are two ways people waste their entire lives. The first way is trying to change others, trying to fix them, improve them, make them see things differently. This is exhausting and futile because you cannot change the reflection. You can only change yourself. When you understand that everyone in your world is you pushed out, you realize there is no point in trying to change them. They are only showing you what is already in your consciousness. Change your consciousness of them, and they must change in your world. The second way is waiting for circumstances to change before you change your state. Waiting to feel wealthy until money appears. Waiting to feel loved until someone loves you. Waiting to feel successful until success arrives. But this is backwards. You must feel wealthy first, then wealth appears. You must feel loved first, then love finds you. You must occupy the state of success first, then circumstances reorganize to match that state. As within, so without. Not as without, so within. This is why Jesus said in Mark 11, verse 24, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Have received. Past tense. Already done. Not believe you will receive. Not hope to receive. Believe you have received it. Assume the feeling of already having it. Live in the state of the wish fulfilled. This is the mirror code applied to prayer. The rational mind keeps saying, "But I don't have it yet. How can I believe I have received it when the evidence contradicts me?" The answer is this. The evidence is the shadow. Your consciousness is the substance. Change the substance and the shadow must follow. But to change consciousness requires something most people refuse to do. It requires taking full responsibility for everything you experience, not partial responsibility, not responsibility for the things you think you caused, full responsibility for everything. When someone treats you poorly, you created it through your assumptions about yourself or about them. When money is lacking, you created it through poverty consciousness. When health fails, you created it through your inner conversations about weakness and limitation. This sounds harsh until you realize what it actually means. If you created it all, you can change it all. The moment you take full responsibility, you reclaim full power. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are no longer at the mercy of others. You are no longer hoping and wishing and waiting for things to change. You are the operant power. You are consciousness itself, and consciousness is the only reality. This is what I taught Neville. This is what took him 5 years to master. Not the intellectual understanding, the lived experience, the moment-to-moment practice of watching his inner conversations, observing his assumptions, catching himself in states of lack, or fear or resentment, and consciously choosing to occupy different states, states of abundance, states of love, states of confidence and fulfillment. And as he changed his inner states, his outer world transformed to match. Your inner conversations are creating your world right now. What are you saying to yourself about money, about love, about success, about your body, about your life? Those conversations are hardening into facts. Those assumptions are pushing out into visibility. That inner state is being reflected back to you in the mirror of your world. Change the inner conversation, and you change the outer reflection. Assume a new state, and the mirror must show you that state. This is not theory, this is law. This is how consciousness operates. This is how your world is formed. Before we conclude, I want you to do something right now that will anchor this teaching in your consciousness. In the comments below, write reset. Because the Manifest Reset Guide is designed specifically to help you apply the mirror code when your old patterns try to reclaim you. When doubt creeps in, when circumstances seem to contradict your assumption, when the reflection in the mirror still shows what you no longer want to be, these 5 resets are your way back to center. Your practical tools for maintaining the state of the wish fulfilled, even when the outer world has not yet conformed. Comment reset below and receive free access. Now, let me tell you the final secret that completes the mirror code. When you master this principle, when you truly understand that the world is nothing but your own consciousness reflected back to you, something unexpected happens. You do not become more controlling. You become more peaceful. You do not become more manipulative. You become more trusting. You do not become obsessed with changing conditions. You become content with being. Because when you know that consciousness is the only reality, when you know that your inner state creates your outer world, you stop fighting. You stop struggling. You stop trying to force anything. You simply become conscious of being what you want to be. You simply assume the state you desire. You simply rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then you watch as the mirror reflects your new face back to you. This is mastery. This is what took Neville 5 years to achieve. Not power over the world, but peace within consciousness. The mirror code is not about controlling reality. It is about realizing you are reality. Everything you see is you. Everyone you encounter is you. Every circumstance is you pushed out. Change you, and you change everything. There is one more teaching I must share with you. Something deeper about consciousness. Something I spent 40 years learning before I taught Neville. That teaching is waiting for you in the video appearing on your screen right now. It is called I Taught Neville. It took me 40 years to learn this. Don't waste yours. In that teaching, I reveal the 7 shifts that will save you decades of struggle, the mistakes that waste years. The shortcuts discovered through 40 years of practice. Click on that video now and continue your training. Because you have proven by watching this far that you are ready for deeper truth, the mirror code is just the beginning.